Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I think you're having very interesting days, and for sure you're learning quite a lot. And thank you very much for the invitation to present some specific applications on remote sensing for services. So I will discuss InfoSequia. I will do it quite shortly, like to explain what is the storyline, what does it mean, how did we work, and what are the activities that we are working on right now. So the service that I'm presenting is the second one. Yes, it's called InfoSequia. This is satellite-based drought monitoring and forecasting, and has been developed by Future Water. Future Water is a consultancy that exists 22 years. It's based in the Netherlands and has a small office in Spain as well. Is the echo the problem of the echo, is it solved?
Pardon?
Is it the sound is working fine, or is the echo an
It's
issue?
slightly echoey, but I'm not entirely sure how we can solve that. Okay.
Okay, then I just need to trust that you are listening, and this has no echo, right? Okay, thank you. So about Future Water, I was mentioning, yeah, this is it's a global research and consultancy firm based on for water management and for hydrology, and we strive towards scientific research and applications in all kinds of fields, mostly in the water resources world. We work very much with satellite information and GIS, climate data, and modeling, hydrological modeling in general. So like this. What are the problems that we are trying to solve? It is InfoSequia. It is actually it's a service about drought, and drought is the deadliest problem in countries, for instance, like Africa. Not only, also South Spain is having many problems related to drought. Climate change makes it worse. So it is the major droughts and the flash droughts that are developing in the last 3 years are also demanding a response in terms of drought forecasting for preparedness and early warning systems that could prevent the damages through drought in terms of crops, or some kind of financial aid are also needed, and let's say they can support our reduce the challenges that drought brings. And of course, the capabilities in terms of forecasting, capabilities, like what are the possibilities to incorporate new techniques? I was just listening something about machine learning techniques into this kind of the description of this kind of phenomena, and that's what InfoSequia does. So we're trying to develop a service, so that the service that we develop is meant to support not only the authorities, but also other humanitarian agencies and NGOs, and provide them with actionable information related to drought. So that is the core of InfoSequia. But how do we do it? So there are 4 key elements. The first one is, okay, what is the state of the art? So we are using the drought monitoring systems and the forecasting module, and the forecasting module rests mostly on machine learning techniques, using the information that we have on remote sensing as far as we can go in time, at least trying to get something like 30 years of data. And through also these techniques, we need to refine and enhance the products for the monitoring and have a prediction that would have a reliable scale of forecast. So that is the state of the art. That's innovative. The audience is, of course, we're aiming for water managers, for NGOs, or for the people themselves, let's say, that can have some kind of actions that they can take different measures to mitigate this hazard. InfoSequia produces insights. It gives insights for the coming 3 to 6 months. So it is focused on specific rain seasons, or it can be a continuous service depending on who is the end user and what is the information going to be used for. And not only about crops, but also water availability. So we take a picture, an idea of drought that goes beyond just indicators, but we work towards the impact of the droughts. So it is an impact-based forecasting service. How does it work? It combines, the first step is to collect all this information, where we use very much the information produced by ESA, by the Copernicus program, meteorological data, land monitoring, MODIS, teleconnection data as well, that is relevant for the forecasting of the precipitation patterns for specific rain seasons, other local climate data that might be available local or also worldwide, and very importantly, for the purposes of these services, ground meteorological, hydrometeorological stations are required, like the measurements of temperatures, soil moisture, or local meteorological data. With all this information, we first work with a forecast, with a monitoring module to monitor the indicators related to drought, precipitation drought, to agricultural drought, and enhancing the meteorological products that's going to help us to improve the possible spatial resolution of the forecast that we can provide. Include a specific phenomena, like for instance a flash drought indicator. We know that droughts is a creeping phenomena that means that it takes months to develop. So having a forecasting system after 3 to 6 months, you could predict it with a higher certainty. However, the heat waves are worsening the effects of droughts, and that is the phenomenon that is called flash droughts. So we also incorporate a flash drought indicator that forces us to look into data that goes on a shorter time scale, like not 6 months, but at least the last months before a possible flash drought event. Then we are already working with this kind of data that can help us with this information as a service in itself. So all this integration is modular, so it has specific modules on data collection, data ingestion in the forecasting and the monitoring module. This information is also ready to be shared. We do have our own viewer. That is one way of disseminating. But since we want to maximize the impact that we made with this information, the information is also available via an API that could connect to specific systems, the systems of the authorities that might use the information. And finally, if the provision of bulletins are needed, that's also something that can be facilitated by the infrastructure that InfoSequia has. I just summarizing again, for whom is InfoSequia? InfoSequia, it is developed for this with these three main audiences in mind: the water authorities or drought authorities, like ministries, or disaster response authorities as well, that might use this information. Humanitarian aid agencies like the Red Cross of the World Food Program, for instance, and of course dedicated to agricultural businesses, especially that are working with large areas, and insurance companies that might see some benefit of having this forecast of droughts with at least 6 months in advance. This is just to give you a glimpse of how it would look like. Like, there are several indicators that are being computed, and at the end, on our viewer, what we want to show is the variation of SPIs, that are depending on the precipitation, the forecast of the different regions. These forecasts are usually aggregated, having a 1.1 pixel monitoring data is one thing, but to be able to predict with a high accuracy requires, from a mathematical perspective, to work with aggregated units, and in this particular case can be provinces. This is an example for Mozambique. Summarizing, like, what are the key features of the service? Is like It provides with actionable data that is based on real-time alerts. The information is site-specific, so it is specific for the area. The events and the phenomena that are relevant in Africa are not the same that those in Latin America or in Europe or in South Europe. So the first the site, making it site specific, it is very relevant. The first study is important for that. The accuracy at the end, the levels of aggregations, the type of machine learning technique that will be used if the testing of the learning of the module is going to be spatial and temporal to achieve a certain level of accuracy is also very relevant for the service. And this design and this development into what are indicators, impact-based indicators of drought that will determine how is the forecasting module going to be developed is essential, and it's also part of the work that we do. And finally, the training for the understanding and the application of the information. So that's also an element of InfoSequia. From the beginning on, during the developments, we work with the people who will use the data and who will work it operationally afterwards. So that is so it is transparent. All the assumptions are being transparent. So just to show you an example of how it looks like a bulletin with an overlook of, besides giving a summary of what could you expect in terms of drought, then also a seasonal forecasting that shows you like the probability of failure for the different regions, coupled with the forecast skill. To take early actions, the skill of the forecast is extremely relevant. So that's why it's going to be coupled with the probability of failure. And to understand it also the level of the current state of the drought, we also provide this kind of information to see how are the different indicators varying, especially on the region of interest. How did this started? It is a service that already has a little bit more than 10 years in the making. So that's also quite important to communicate. Like it started in 2014 with an idea, and through the years has gone to the development and testing different TRLs, different maturity levels, to the point at this moment where we can say that we are mature enough. We have a TRL 9. Then we can approach different kind of clients directly. So it has taken some time, a lot of subsidy for from the European Commission, also national from the Netherlands, Partners for Water program, for instance, a very good project that we started with under the InCube program from ESA from 2021 that helped us to reach from a TRL 7 to a TRL 9. So it is a journey that's also very important to share, to be able to reach this kind of services. There is of course a larger team behind it. There are just a couple of people here to highlight the most the important areas, like the technical development. That is the research and development officer. That is Sergio, myself on the right side. That's Evelyn, and of course we have 12 colleagues working continuously on different elements of the service and other projects as well. But there is a big team behind it, so that's also important to communicate. There is also important to highlight that there is, of course, competition. It is not a unique, and that also pushes you to improve the quality of the services in terms of data, in terms of accuracies, and in terms of cooperation with the possible clients. So it's just to provide a general overview and where do we position ourselves in the entire competition. What are our ongoing activities at this moment? We continuously work for Colombia, for the CBC, for the Water Authority, also in the campus de Cartagena in southern Spain. They're also receiving continuously these bulletins. World Food Program with an initiative for Somalia. We are supporting the World Food Program to develop this early action protocols in terms of droughts. And also in Pakistan, with an emphasis on flash droughts and focusing on the south areas that have serious problems of droughts. And the farmers in that region are the ones who will benefit the most of having early action information. So those are just a few highlights. So it's just to show that we are working also on different regions, which require different kind of indicators, different kind of data sets, and many times different kind of modeling approaches within the machine learning tools that we use. How do we make a business model out of the services? So since we are targeting 3 different groups, I already explained it very well. Like we want to say, of course, at the first level, we want to make direct sales for the monitoring and the forecasting, but also on the training on drought on its own, the drought phenomena, the modeling of the monitoring and the forecasting are also important elements for us to continue investing on our services. And with that, thank you very much.